Hi, so in this set of video, we'll be talking about boron and carbon family. This is a revision video, so the whole objective of this video is to cover all the points of NCERT as well as little bit outside as per necessary for NEET examination. But again, it's very important to understand that in depth I will not be going in the logics. Why? Because the logics in the blocks are majorly used from chemical bonding and the periodic table also. So a slight idea in this S block elements video I have already given you. So in the boron carbon family, I'll be saving that amount of time and focusing upon more and more facts rather than focusing upon logic of each and every question. Yes, tricks we will discuss to remember them. But logic, if your chemical bonding part is okay, you'll be able to understand by yourself also. Slightly I will touch each and everything. So for that, we have to specifically take out time from the remaining portions. So let us carry on. So regarding the boron family first, so it's a boron family revision video. In the boron family, the elements are boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium, and one new element, neodymium, is being added into the periodic table now in the latest NCERT, whose atomic number is 113 and atomic mass is 286 gram per mole. Final valence shell configuration is going to be same here, like this whole configuration is NS2 NP1. The configuration of this group is NS2 NP1. So the neodymium is, this is second period, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh period. So 7s2 7p1 will be there. It is a synthetic radioactive element. So that's it. There is no chemical property, physical property being discussed about this new element which is being added. Now, talking about boron, boron is black in color. This one of the allotropic form is black in color. It is very hard, because of which the reactivity of boron is also less. Because it is very hard, it is tough for boron to react. If you crush it, there is a chance that boron can react. Next, aluminium. Aluminium is third most abundant element on earth crust and the most abundant metal on the earth crust. You can understand AIR 1, all India, all world rank 1 on the earth crust is of oxygen, followed by silicon. Third is aluminium. So you can understand the first two are non-metals. So aluminium is the topmost or most abundant metal on the earth crust. This fact is there in the metallurgy also, so it becomes a very, very important fact. Now, boron is acidic. Boron oxide is acidic in nature. Why? Because boron is a typical non-metal. As we go down the group, the metallic character increases. So boron is a non-metal, remaining all are metals. Aluminium has a lot of similarity with boron, but he is a metal. General classification, he is a metal. So boron oxide is acidic in nature. Aluminium, gallium oxides are amphoteric in nature. Indium, thallium are basic in nature. So you can understand the basic nature of oxide is increasing down the group and acidic nature is increasing up, from down to up. So acidic nature is decreasing, basic nature is increasing down the group. Carrying on, talking about top to bottom variations here. So as we know in general trend that radius top to bottom increases. So radius increases, why? Because shell number increases. Now we have the exceptions coming here. When we go from aluminium to gallium, what happens from aluminium to gallium? D electrons are filled. From here to here, D electrons get filled. D10 configuration get filled. So what happens? Because D electrons are very poor shielding electrons, they do not shield the nuclear charge properly. This causes a contraction in size. So this was the nucleus. The job of intervening electron, internal electron, is to shield the nuclear charge so that the outermost electron gets the lesser nuclear charge. But when D electrons come, they are poor shielding electrons, so more nuclear charge will be able to go out because the shielding was poor. So the electron will be attracted closer from the valence shell and the size contracts a little bit. Because of this, in gallium, aluminium, the expected order was down the group gallium must be larger, but in reality, aluminium is slightly larger than gallium. That's why the symbol I have written is more than equal to. So that's the only one exception of radius in the D contraction. In the whole periodic table, because of D contraction, only aluminium, gallium radius changes the order. Otherwise, slight variation happens, but order top to bottom increases only happens in every case except aluminium, gallium for D contraction. What happens here? Aluminium is slightly larger means approximately equal also sometimes NEET can ask, or slightly larger also NEET can ask. Carrying on, talking about ionization enthalpy here. So this group is Sarvanasham group. Why? In the ionization enthalpy, the order is very random. Why it is random? Let us understand. When we have aluminium, gallium, we have D contraction here, and indium to thallium, we have F electron coming. And as we know, shielding of F electron is even poorer than the D electron. So what happens? Indium to thallium, because the F electron comes, there is a contraction known as lanthanoid contraction, which is much higher. That means the contraction is much more powerful. So indium and gallium have approximately, indium and thallium have approximately same size, but there is no exception here. No exception means top to bottom, indium to thallium. Thallium has a slightly larger radius than indium, but the variation of the radius is very small. So what happens here? Out of indium and thallium, you can understand, let's say this is indium, this is thallium, this is the valence shell, and both are having almost same radius. Thallium is a little higher in size, little larger in size, but indium to thallium there is 32 extra protons. So thallium has 32 more protons than indium. So nucleus of thallium is much more powerful. So what he does, because of this lanthanoid contraction, the effective nuclear charge of thallium becomes more than indium. What does it mean? Size is nearly same, even though thallium is a little larger, just as expected, but just a little larger. But protons are 32 extra protons are there in the thallium. So the nuclear charge, the effective nuclear charge of thallium is much more than indium, much more in fact. So what happens? The ionization enthalpy of thallium is much more than indium. So he jumps even above gallium. Same happens with gallium aluminium also. Size is nearly same. So same logic you can understand here. It is aluminium, this is gallium. Size is nearly same. Size is nearly same. But 18 protons gallium has extra. So because gallium has approximately same size as aluminium, in fact little smaller size also, and 18 extra protons are there. So the effective nuclear charge, the power of the nucleus, the attraction of the nucleus of gallium is more than aluminium. So automatically gallium also goes more than aluminium in the ionization enthalpy. So in very simple terms, indium thallium have lanthanoid contraction, which is higher. So thallium jumps too much up in the ionization enthalpy order. Whereas out of aluminium gallium, there is decontraction there, which is little bit lesser. So gallium jumps over aluminium, but just one step up. So this is what the ionization enthalpy order comes like. So boron, thallium, gallium, indium, aluminium, gallium, aluminium, indium is the order of the ionization enthalpy 1. Going ahead, talking about electronegativity here, yeah. So when we talk about electronegativity, we understand that electronegativity decreases up to aluminium and then increases, which means that the minimum electronegativity in this group is of aluminium and the highest is of boron. Anyway, boron is a non-metal, so that was expected as well. But aluminium has the minimum electronegativity in this group. Next, what about density? Density increases top to bottom, no exception. Boiling point decreases top to bottom, there is no exception. So we understand density and boiling point have no exceptions there. Density increases, boiling point decreases. So whose boiling point is maximum? Boron, because it is a hard crystalline solid. That's why the boiling point is maximum for boron. It's a hard crystalline solid. So bhaiya, what will happen? The attraction is also very high. That's why boiling point is higher. As you go down, boiling point decreases. Talking about melting point, bhaiya, very abrupt melting point is there. In fact, the main culprit here is gallium. What does it mean? Boron to gallium, melting point decreases, just like boiling point. Melting point decreases up to gallium, but gallium has very low melting point, exceptionally low melting point. So what happens? In indium thallium, there is an increase. So the minimum melting point in this group is of gallium. Gallium is a very important example. In fact, if you hold gallium in your hand, it will melt. So gallium is a metal whose melting point is so low that it can melt over the hand also. Understand here? So gallium has the minimum melting point, boron as usual maximum. Why? Because it is a hard crystalline solid. So understand here, gallium melting point is very less, 303 Kelvin. You can understand around at room temperature 27-28 degrees Celsius, it will be melting. But boiling point, if you see, there is no exception in the boiling point. That means gallium melting point is exceptionally low, but the boiling point is very high as expected. So bhaiya, from 303 Kelvin to 2676 Kelvin, gallium remains liquid only. It melts at 303 and then boils later on at 2676 Kelvin. So gallium is a liquid for a wide range of temperature. That is why gallium is used in industrial thermometers also to measure high temperatures. Apart from that, the next thing that is important is inert pair effect. Now this thing is inert pair effect. Now what happens here? See, so if you see the configuration NS2 NP1, If NP electron goes out, only NP, last orbital electron goes out, what will happen? +1 oxidation state will come. If all the valence electrons goes out, then +3 oxidation state will come. So this +1 is the lower oxidation state here, +3 is the higher oxidation state here. So as you go down, inert pair says that the lower oxidation state stability increases and the higher oxidation state stability decreases. That means in this group, +1 stability will increase because that is a lower one, and in this group, +3 stability will decrease because that is the higher one. So when NP goes out only, so +1 will come. When both NS and NP go out, +3 will come. So as you go down, +1 stability is increasing. So understand this thing. For boron, aluminium, gallium up to indium, the higher oxidation state will be more stable. That means +3 will be more stable than +1 up to indium. But only for thallium, only for the last element. Understand this thing clearly. For the inert pair effect in boron as well as carbon family, I will repeat there also, only 6th period element, lower state becomes more stable than higher. What does it mean? If I put, let's say, aluminium and thallium +1, aluminium +3 and thallium +3, then for aluminium +3 will be more stable, but for thallium +1 will be more stable. That means aluminium +1 will desperately try to become +3, will try to become stable, that is +3. So we can say aluminium +1 happily want to get oxidized, so he is a reducing agent. Whereas thallium +1 is more stable, that means for thallium +3 oxidation state will happily become +1, more stable. So thallium +3 want to get reduced, so he is oxidizing agent. So this is what we can talk about regarding the inert pair effect. This question is extremely important. So from boron to indium, +1 oxidation state is the reducing agent. For thallium, +3 is the oxidizing agent. Why? Because up to indium, +3 is more stable. So +1 wants to become +3. Whereas for thallium, +3 is more stable. Next, what will happen when BCl3, AlCl3 get hydrolyzed? Simple here. Cl minus will go, OH minus will come. So firstly what happens? BCl3 get hydrolyzed. है ना? So what happens in the story here? I will tell you the whole explanation properly. So when we can write, let's say here now, I think this part already you can go back and you can note it down from there. So very nice explanation is there that BCl3 react with water. So what happens? You get Cl will go, OH will come. So this is boric acid, H3BO3. Now boric acid reacts with more water, and the problem is that the boron here has incomplete octet. So here to get, you can understand BOH whole thrice means boron made 3 bonds. 3 bonds means each bond 2 electron, 3 bond means 6 electron. Octet means 8. So basically he likes to make one more bond. So he will take one more OH to make BOH whole 4 minus. It's a tetrahedral structure with the sp3 hybridization, but this is what the reaction happens here. Next, this is boric acid. Going on, if I take AlCl3, what happens? So firstly understand, when aluminium react with HCl, you get AlCl3 in aqueous medium, AlCl3 aqueous will be formed. AlCl3 aqueous, that means when AlCl3 is in aqueous medium, is in water, what happens to him? He takes water as a ligand and Cl goes out as free ion. Water is a stronger ligand than Cl minus, so H2O goes inside, Cl minus go out as free ion. Now, what happens next? If this thing reacts with NaOH, let us say, then OH minus in excess will displace water from there and you get AlOH whole 4 minus. Or we can also write NaAlOH whole 4. This is sodium meta-aluminate also we can call it. Sometimes this is also written as NaAlO2 dot water. So here this is sodium meta-aluminate or NaAlO2. Now some people doubt, sir, how can you say that this is NaAlO2? Very simple, yeah. Release all the hydrogen as water. So there are 4 hydrogen, so 2 water will go out. So think now, NaAl as it is, hydrogen went away as water, but it took 2 oxygen also. So out of 4 oxygen, 2 oxygen went away, 2 left. So NaAlO2 dot 2H2O is nothing but NaAlOH whole 4 only. So understand this thing. It shows that Al, for example, here if I take directly with NaOH, here I reacted with HCl, it reacted. With NaOH directly in the aqueous medium, I can write NaAlOH whole 4. So we understand that aluminium is amphoteric in nature. He can react with both acid as well as base. So this is what the brilliant question can come. Bhaiya, they can give you metal X, react with HCl, forms a complex Y, react with NaOH, you get NaAlOH whole 4 or NaXOH whole 4. So find what the metal is. So search for any amphoteric in the option. Aluminium will be the best answer if we are talking about the boron family. So let's carry on to the next part. So now let us talk about the assertion reason, very important one. Boron forms covalent compound majorly, which is true. Why is it true? The reason is very simple. Boron is very small and the ionization enthalpy 1 plus 2 plus 3 total is so high that it is almost impossible to make B3 plus ion. So because boron cannot release all the 3 electrons in its last shell, in fact releasing 1 electron is also very tough for boron. So boron 3 plus is not formed, so it cannot form the ionic compound because it does not form a cation. So the reason is I1 plus I2 plus I3 of boron is very high. Next, back bonding is a very important phenomena and back bonding is inversely proportional to acidic strength. Now what is back bonding here? Simple. For example, you have B, F, F, F. So boron has a vacant orbital. So let's talk about boron. So it has a vacant orbital and fluorine has a lone pair in one of the orbital. So when they will do sidewise overlapping, it is called back bonding. So a completely empty orbital of boron and completely filled orbital of fluorine, they will do sidewise overlapping. Now what is acidic nature? Lewis acid means lone pair acceptor. So if I am boron and I am getting the lone pair from fluorine by sidewise overlapping, so why will I take the electron from outside much? Little bit I will take only, na yaar? Because this is partial bonding happening. It's not a very strong lone pair, complete transfer is not happening, partial transfer is happening. So let's understand, when BF3, BCl3, BBr3, BI3 is there, the strength of back bonding is maximum in BF3 and minimum in BI3. Why? In BF3, we have 2p and 2p orbital making the pi bond. So it is 2p pi, 2p pi bond. This is 2p pi, 3p pi. Why? Because chlorine is from third period, so 3p is the last shell, last orbital. 2p pi, 4p pi, 2p pi, 5p pi. In the beginning of the same chapter in NCERT, you will see one very important line that pi bond is made best by the second period elements. So bhaiya 2p pi bond is the best. As the size difference increases, bond become chadda. So this 2p pi, 3p pi overlapping is chadda, 2p pi, 4p pi even more chadda, 2p pi, 5p pi very very chadda. So the back bonding decreases here. So you can understand, in case of Bi3, boron is getting negligible electron from iodine because most chadda back bond is there, and if it is iodine, he will not be able to properly give the lone pair to boron because the orbital is very big for the donation to happen. So what happens here? Bi3 will be having least back bonding. So as a result, what will happen? The acidic character will be more. Why? Because if boron does not accept the electron happily from iodine, he has to take the electron from outside. So if I am boron, I take electron from outside, I become lone pair acceptor, a good one, so a good Lewis acid. So the acidic nature, Lewis acidic nature increases up to Bi3. So Bi3 is better Lewis acid than BBr3, then BCl3 and then BF3. It's a very important point and many students do it wrong because of some wrong feeling they get seeing the BF3 and Bi3. So understand, BF3 is not the best Lewis acid, Bi3 is the best in this comparison from BF3 through Bi3. Next, people mess up this thing with this thing. So understand, AlX3, BX3 when we compare, here X is same, central atom is different. So who is a better lone pair acceptor depends upon the central atom. So when you have a smaller central atom, so the nucleus is very close to the valence shell. So when the electron comes to the valence shell, nucleus can attract it better. So because of the small size of boron, BX3 is more stronger Lewis acid than AlX3. So bhaiya acidic nature, BX3 more than AlX3, very important. One question is there in the NCERT exercise, very brilliant question, very logical question. You can check that question once regarding bubbling of NAF with AlF3. Going ahead, what happens when BF3 reacts with ammonia? So here देखो BCl3, BBr3, Bi3, BF3, all of them, you can understand they are Lewis acid as I explained. ठीक है, he is the best one and he is the worst one. So when I take BCl3, lone pair of nitrogen wants to enter into the vacant orbital of boron, making a coordinate bond. So what will happen? BCl3, which was Lewis acid with a hybridization of sp2, something like this, will become sp3 now. So here the structure changes on reaction with ammonia. So Lewis acid, ammonia is the Lewis base, and that's your product that you have got. Next, AlCl3 is also not having completed octet. So what AlCl3 does? He dimerizes. BCl3, BBr3, Bi3, they do not dimerize. They show back bonding better. Why? Because भैया boron can show better back bonding because pi bond, back bond is also a type of a pi bond only, and best pi bond is made by second period element that is there in the beginning in the NCERT in the same chapter. Carrying on, so they do not dimerize, they prefer to show back bonding for stability. AlCl3 on the other hand try to dimerize. So there are two AlCl3. So lone pair of one chlorine goes to the vacant orbital of aluminium, and lone pair of the other chlorine goes to the vacant orbital of the aluminium, making coordinate bond, and you get this kind of a structure. This in the middle we call it bridging, and this is terminal, है ना? This four are terminal and these are bridging. Always understand. अच्छा, firstly this is not banana bond. It is not banana bond. It is not tie bond. It is not electron deficient bond. It is just a normal bond. Now here, if the inside angle is theta, outside is psi, always the outside angle will be more than the inside angle. Why? Because outside the hands are free to move, so larger angle will be formed. Inside they are constrained, so smaller angle will be formed. Similarly, if the outside bond length is x, inside is y, always the inside bond length will be more than outside bond length. Why? Outside Cl is normal here, but inside because of the stretching, they will try to go away as possible. So because of the stretching, the y always is larger than x. Not only for this structure, any structure who looks like this, always the inside angle will be smaller and the inside bond will be larger. Going ahead, reaction with the air. So here they form oxide and nitride. One small point, little outside NCERT, that boron nitride is very hard. In fact, sometimes it can be related to the hardness of diamond also. And graphite like structure it has. So structure is like graphite, but hardness is much stronger than graphite. So boron nitride is very hard. Then boron and aluminium, they are less reactive in the solid state, but if you crush them, they react well. But why they are less reactive? Reasons are different. Boron is hard crystalline solid, I already discussed, very hard, so very tough to react. Aluminium forms protective oxide layer, that's why it is kinetically inert. So what happens when boron reacts with acid or alkali at moderate temperature? No reaction happens. It is so hard, it will not be isolated for the reaction. What does it mean? The boron is so hard, taking out one boron to react is almost impossible at moderate temperature. Aluminium with HNO3 will not be reacting. Why? Because HNO3 is oxidizing agent. What will happen? Aluminium will form a protective oxide layer, and that layer will help the inside aluminium to be protected from the next HNO3 from reaction. So what will happen? Due to protective oxide layer, aluminium does not react. Aluminium will react with HCl or NaOH. Yes, we have discussed in the previous slide also, it reacts. Now, BF6 3- is not possible. Why? You can understand here, boron is second period element. He can have maximum coordination number of 4. He can make maximum of 4 bonds, that is octet. That's the only possibility, because in the second period, you only have 2s and 2p subshell, and in 2p there are 3 orbitals, in 2s there is 1 orbital. Total 4 orbitals, so maximum 4 bonds possible. Here 6 are getting made. So it is not possible until you utilize your vacant d orbitals, and they do not have vacant d. He is from second period. Second period element do not have vacant d. D orbital starts from third period. Going ahead, so BF6 3- not possible. BX3 does not dimerize. One in-test question is there in NCERT, very brilliant question here, solved example in fact. Ki white fumes appear around the anhydrous AlCl3 bottle. Why? When you have anhydrous AlCl3, Al3 plus charge, in S block also I discussed, more charge means more attraction of water. So water or moisture will be attracted. They will partially hydrolyze AlCl3, that means Cl- will go, OH- will come, and you will get, see, so you can understand when OH- comes and Cl- goes, so here H plus of water is left and Cl- comes out, they will form HCl gas together, which give white fumes in moisture. So that white fumes is due to the HCl being released. So this was the next part. You can make the notes of this also. And now we'll go to the next part, going ahead in the compounds of this chapter. So now this is borax. Borax is a very famous compound, very commonly used around us also. Now, borax is having a formula of Na2B4O7.10H2O. Another formula is there, Na2B4O5OH whole 4.8H2O. Now, how this formula came, I am asking you, I am giving you. Na2B4O7.10H2O is the general formula. This is the structural based formula. Let's see how. This is the structure of borax, not there in the NCERT, but this kind of questions can come because this represents the structure only. So you can check here, this is BO, 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 so 4 B's are there attached to 1 O each in the bridging in this way, and there is one extra bridge in the middle also. But these two borons are not attached through oxygen here. So understand here, this boron is making 4 bonds sp3 hybridization. This boron makes 4 bonds sp3 hybridization. This boron makes 3 bond sp2. This makes 3 bond sp2. So bhaiya, these two boron are making 1 extra bond, so negative charge will come. You can understand boron has only 4 orbitals but only total 3 electron. In fact, the configuration is ns2np1, and after excitation 1 electron goes out like this, so 1 empty orbital is there. If boron is making 4 bonds, that means some electron entered into the empty orbital, so some negative charge will come, and there is 2 negative charge which is sufficed by 2 Na+. So this is just the anion part of the borax here. So you can see the formula came from here, and 2 are sp2, 2 are sp3 boron. B4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bridging oxygen, and 1, 2, 3, 4 OH group, dot 8 H2O is there. Sir, how can you get dot 8 H2O? Simple. Out of 10 H2O, that means out of total 20, 4 are used here. 20 hydrogens, 4 are used here. So if 4 hydrogens are used there, how many are left out of 20? 16 hydrogens. 16 hydrogen means 8 H2O. 8 into 2, 16. Going ahead. If Na2B4O7.10H2O is heated, the water of hydration goes off and the borax swells. So the anhydrous borax is having a larger volume in the same mass as compared to the hydrated borax. So who will have more density, we can say? Yeah, this will be having more density. Why? Because borax is swelling up after releasing water, so that means it is occupying more volume. So the density will be lesser, it is less denser. Next, on further heating you get sodium metaborate. This is known as sodium metaborate, this compound. And B2O3 is boron oxide, or also known as anhydride of boric acid. I will talk about that at the end. So NaBO2 B2O3, this solidifies together to form borax bead or bead like structure. Bead means small spheres like this, small spheres which are white in color. So when they react with some cation who can give color, then the borax bead gets the color. So the cations give color to the borax bead. So if the cation is colorless, so clear cut borax bead will also be colorless. So I reacted this borax bead with cobalt 2+. I get cobalt metaborate. I got copper metaborate, and they both are blue in color. So this question directly they can ask you that cobalt metaborate COBO2 whole twice is what in color? So the answer will be deep blue in color. It gives borax bead test. So will the colorless cation will give borax bead test? No, because metaborate is colorless. Metaborate, that means BO2 minus is colorless. Cations only give the color. So if the cation is also colorless, bead is also colorless, your color will not come. Going ahead, what will happen when borax is dissolved in water? So borax is alkaline in nature. Why? Because when it goes in water, it forms NaOH and B2O3. Now what happens here, or not B2O3, sorry, NaOH plus H3BO3. So what happens here, we understand that borax is kind of a salt of sodium hydroxide and boric acid. That means kind of a salt of a strong base and weak acid. So here weak acid and strong base is there. So who is more powerful? Base, we can say. So a simple shortcut is there. If a salt is of a strong base and weak acid, it will be basic in nature. Reality is actually from hydrolysis, that anions get hydrolyzed of the weak acid, but those all things are not necessary right now. Shortcut will work. So a salt of a strong base, weak acid will be basic in nature. pH more than 7 will be there of the aqueous solution of borax. So borax is alkaline in nature. Very important question, previous year AIIMS question also, there in the NCERT exercise also as a multiple choice question. Make sure that you check that. So when borax is there, it is making NaOH boric acid. Very smart method I am telling you. If you want boric acid, what you should do? You have to kill NaOH from here. And if you want to kill NaOH, what you will use? use a strong acid. Strong acid will react with NaOH, like HCl H2SO4 will react with NaOH, and happily what you will get, NaCl or Na2SO4 will come out and H3BO3 will be precipitated. And this precipitated boric acid, it is precipitated in the form of crystals. Boric acid crystals get precipitated, understand that. Why crystalline? Because of hydrogen bonding. Layered structure is there. You can see the structure in NCERT if you want, not that much important, but you can see if you want. There it has a soapy touch. It is less soluble in cold water but very highly soluble in the hot water. These are the property of the boric acid. Any boron compound you take, any boron compound on hydrolysis, on reaction with water, always gives boric acid. You take BX3, BF3, BCl3, BBr3, Bi3, B2O3, borax, B2H6. In fact, if I take B2H6 also, then also in the aqueous medium it will form boric acid. So every person who is a boron compound forms boric acid in hydrolysis in reaction with water. So you get boric acid there. If you heat boric acid above 370 Kelvin, water molecule go out. So from H3BO3, H2O goes. So H2O, if you subtract, simple algebra kind of thing you can do in chemistry also. Yeah, 3 minus 2, 1. Boron as it is. 3 minus 1, 2. So bhaiya HbO2 or metaboric acid is formed. On further heating, red heat if you do, you will get B2O3, that is boric anhydride. And boric anhydride, why we are calling it? It is boric acid without water. So anhydride means water le do, no water. So when the water is completely released, you get boric anhydride B2O3. So bhaiya H3BO3 completely release water, boric acid, partially get hydrolyzed, partially get dehydrated, metaboric acid. So this is about the boric acid part. So let's carry on. Hot favorite topic for NEET exam. It's a colorless toxic gas. It catches fire also, used as a fuel as well. Now how to prepare it? Take BF3. BF3, if I want to make B2H6, you have to understand B2H6 is a dimer of BH3. So two BH3 molecules come together, dimerizes to form B2H6. I'll discuss the structure later. But simply I have to displace fluorine and bring hydrogen here. So bhaiya, I will use a reducing agent who can give H minus like NaH or LiAlH4. The first method is the industrial method also. So what happens? Nothing here, fluorine goes, hydrogen comes, you get B2H6, BH3 or B2H6. What happens to fluorine? It goes to the metal like NaF or to lithium aluminum both like LiF and AlF3. So byproduct AlF3 can also be made in this method. Going ahead, NaBH4 with iodine. Here iodine acts like an oxidizing agent and he converts NaBH4 to B2H6. This is the lab method of the preparation of diborane. How can I say iodine is an oxidizing agent? Simple. From 0 to -1, there is a change in the oxidation state of iodine. So these are the three preparation methods of diborane. 2 using just the reducing agent and 1 using the oxidizing agent. Going ahead, now B2H6 as I said is a fuel. Why? In combustion, if I heat it in the presence of oxygen, it forms oxide. Obviously water will also go out, no doubt in this, because boron will form its oxide, hydrogen form its oxide, just like any other hydrocarbon reaction also, like carbon dioxide, water. Same way, energy released is very enormous, -1967 kilojoule per mole. As a result, it is a highly exothermic reaction, so it is used as a fuel. The energy coming out is used as a fuel. So B2H6, it can react with NMe3, it's like ammonia. Instead of H, CH3 came there. And this is B2H6 reacting with CO. In both cases, we understand CO is also a ligand and NMe3 can also act like a ligand. They can donate the lone pair basically. They are Lewis bases. So we understand here that boron is having incompleted octet. Because you can understand BH3 is there. He has to make one more bond. He is trying to dimerize for it, but still there is something left. He wants more electrons to complete the octet. So lone pair of nitrogen happily enters into boron here. So there are 2 BH3 molecules kind of thing here which are dimerizing. So 2 NMe3 will form an adduct. Similarly, CO will also form an adduct in this same way. So these are adducts here. Addition compounds, adduct. 2 compounds stick together. What happens when B2H6 reacts with ammonia? Very awesome, nice reaction happens. So what happens, I am going to explain here. See, if you take B2H6 structure, this is how the B2H6 structure looks like, kind of. I'll explain in detail also, but right now for this previous explanation, I need this. So what happens here, the bond break heterolytically. That means both the bridging hydrogen goes one to one of the boron and he becomes BH4 minus. So this becomes BH4 minus. the other one loses both the hydrogen and becoming BH2 plus. There 2 ammonia comes and make a complex BH2 NH3 whole twice plus. So he is also getting octet completed because 2 hydrogens and 2 ammonia are making the bond, and he is also getting octet completed. Very happy ionic kind of a compound. Hydrogen is not released. It broke. 1 boron got all the 4 hydrogen. The remaining boron is left with 2 hydrogen and 2 ammonia. On further heating, this makes borazine. Borazine, borazole, or also known as inorganic benzene, is B3N3S6. Structure is like this. Each nitrogen is making a coordinate bond with one of the boron, kind of looking like benzene. But reactivity of borazine or inorganic benzene is more than benzene. Why? Because boron and nitrogen have different electronegativity. So this is a polar bond, and obviously polar molecules are more reactive than non-polar. A very common question which is asked in the local test is that, not very important for NEET, but is asked in local test, कि dichloro derivatives how many are there for borazine? So just remember the answer. The dichloro derivatives of borazine are 4. Going ahead, talking about the structure now. So let us see. So when we have the structure, firstly, before that, one very important reaction. When metal hydride like lithium and sodium metal hydride reacts with B2S6, what will happen? They are H minus donors. So they will donate the H minus to boron. Boron which was having a diboron which was having BH3 will be very happily taking 1 H minus each, completing the octet, and hence it will become BH4 minus. There are 2 BH4 minus being formed here, and M plus. It's a very important reaction because students forget about this reaction a lot. Remaining they remember, many a times asked also. This is the least asked question in the local test and extremely important for NEET exam. Now what the structure of B2S6 is there? Dekho yaar, this poor boron is making 3 bonds, and to make octet he need 1 more bond. So this boron had 1 electron, hydrogen had 1 electron, this boron had 1 electron, hydrogen had 1 electron in this bond. 2 electron makes 1 bond. So to get the octet completed, what hydrogen does, he says ki okay fine, I will share my electrons with this boron also. Problem is he has only 2 electrons on his bond, only 2. So these 2 electrons only are shared between these 3 atoms. So this becomes, you can understand now, this becomes 2 electron and 3 center bond. So 3 center, 2 electron bond. Similarly, this hydrogen also had only 2 electrons with him after making the bond. We have to understand 2 electrons only are there, 1 of boron, 1 of hydrogen. This hydrogen also sacrifices these electrons and make a bond with the next hydrogen, partial bonding only, and this is also a 3 center 2 electron bonds. Why? Because there are 3 center and only 2 electrons are there what he has. So what about this boron? Can't this boron contribute? He had 3 electrons, 1 electron he gave here, second here, third here. So for this bond he has no electron, no contribution of any electron. Only these 2 electrons are there. So 3 center 2 electron. Similarly here also 3 center 2 electron. This is also known as electron deficient bond. It is also known as banana bond. It is also known as tau bond. And this electron deficient bond, banana bond or tau bond is 3 center 2 electron bond. And how many are 3 center 2 electron bond in the diboron structure? 2. Whereas if you see these normal bonds, these are normal bonds, 2 center 2 electron bond. So how many 2 center 2 electron bond we can see? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 are there. Understood the simple idea, bhaiya? Next, now there are 2 kinds of hydrogen we can say. One is the hydrogen in the middle known as bridging hydrogen. These are HB, bridging hydrogen, and the other hydrogens are these terminal hydrogens. Also they ask you the comparisons of bond angle and bond length, and I told you one shortcut in the previous part of the video also, very simple shortcut. If the inside angle is theta, outside angle is psi, outside angle will be happily moving, stretching itself. So psi will be more than theta. Outside angle more, and as well as outside bond length, outside will be lesser than inside, and inside bond length will be larger also. For it there are 2 reasons. Stretching is one of the reason, but the major reason is that it's a poor bond, very poor bonding, because 2 electrons made 2 bonds, which is not a common sigma bond. It is electron deficient bond, so weak bond will be there. That's why also the length of the bond is much larger. Apart from that, understand कि भैया substitution occurs of only terminal hydrogens. bridging hydrogen cannot be substituted. For example, if I do chlorination, then the product can be only ClClB, HHB, ClCl. This H cannot be replaced. Similarly, if you want to bring methyl, 4 only can come. 6 methyl cannot be replaced in this case. Why? Because the hydrogen of the bridging cannot be removed. If they are removed, the whole structure breaks down. But you understand? And one more small point is here, that this hydrogen, this boron, this hydrogen, and this boron are in the same plane. So BB and HHHH are in the same plane. And this banana bond, one is above the plane, one is below the plane. So how many atoms maximum are in the same plane? 6. These 3 and these 3. This one of the hydrogen is above the plane like this, and one of the hydrogen is below the plane like this. That's all.